we are moving on to recipe number 2. This is an orange sesame chicken. And replacing some of the meat. Was that Nikki? No, it wasn't you. It was
no more breadcrumbs. Oh, I love the reaction.
Replacing some of the meat in a dish with dried peas and beans is one way to maintain the protein in the dish, but also reduce the cost of the dish. And protein is very important. We know, we talked about it in recipe 1 for muscle building. It's important for healing after treatment. So it's important that if you're trying to cut back on meats, you still replace it with another food that has lots of protein, and dried peas and beans does that. Also using chicken thighs in this dish. So chicken breast generally costs more. Oh.
We're going to have to talk through it.
Talk through it?
Yeah.
Okay.
May I have your attention, please?
Really? But they want my attention.
You're testing fire alarms, so I don't
Okay.
keep going.
Okay. So the chicken thighs are an excellent source of protein, generally cheaper in cost, so you can look for that. With the skin on, with the bone in. Does this have bone in or no?
It doesn't, but it did. And
Yeah.
I'll touch on a little bit after too.
So that is also more economical, and Jeremy will talk a little bit more about that. And then we're using black beans, and that is adding plant protein, but it's also adding fiber, and it's also adding what we call phytonutrients, which are nutrients basically found in plants. It's just a fancy way of saying that. So you're getting the protein, but you're getting the benefit of the fiber and the phytonutrients as well. So in short, this meal is both affordable, nutritious, and will not break the bank when you add this to your list of meals for the holidays.
Absolutely. So, just for everyone here, it's fire alarm testing. Hopefully it doesn't interrupt too much. They picked the perfect time for this. Oh no.
Okay, I'll take it. I can do that.
Also, I understand we're competing with Sean Desmond today. He is in the hospital doing a concert. So.
Oh really?
Again,
Don't tell them.
Oh yeah. Don't leave. Close the door. Please close the door.
Just focus.
All right. So we're gonna start off. This is nothing. I'm gonna start off by saying this is nothing traditional to anything at all, other than some of my favorite flavors coming together. So definitely taking some inspiration from some of my favorite Asian dishes that feature sesame and orange and ginger together. I love that combination. And then we're also veering off from that and pulling from some other flavor influences as well. But important to this, to tie all these proteins together, we're going to use a really nice sort of sauce or glaze it's going to cook in. Okay, so we're starting off with a few tablespoons of honey. Depending on how much you make, I'm making a bigger tray here. I'll use 4 tablespoons of honey, which seems like a lot, but I'm using about like 8 to 10 chicken thighs or something a little bit bigger in a vessel of some sort. This is going to make it easy for me to mix. Even like a mason jar would be really convenient as well. And I'm going to add just like a couple tablespoons of warm water just to loosen it up. You can also microwave this if you want, just to warm it up a little bit. I don't need much, but to save myself from having to boil all the ingredients together first, and then it's going to cook again in the oven, I just need it to dissolve easily. So just a little bit of warm water, and that honey will soften up and stir really, really nicely. And then to this, we're going to add some other aromatics. So I have a big chunk of ginger here, some cloves of garlic. Here's also where you can use ground. You can definitely use ground spices, but ground garlic, ground ginger. Typically, you can go for about, they say like about half. If you're using ground spice, use about half for what it calls in fresh. But also go for your taste. Like if you like a little bit more ginger, like a little more of that heat from the ginger, go for more for sure. I'm adding 2 big chunks of garlic here, using a rasp just to mince it, and then some ginger as well. Same rasp, and this really helps to grate it and make it nice and fine. In here. Okay. So I don't know if you can see that. There. Yeah. Nice. So it minces
Oh,
it
sorry.
really, really nicely.
Not doing my job.
Slacking. All right. So we have some of that ginger, some of that garlic in there, to make it a little bit more wintry, festive. I'm adding some allspice to this. You can add some clove too if you want.
See, now I'll bring it down.
Not
There.
too much. Like half a teaspoon is good. And this
Ooh,
you'll notice.
smell that
Yeah,
too.
this you'll notice for sure.
Excuse me, what was that?
Allspice.
Allspice.
Allspice?
Yeah, ground allspice.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll pass them out later so you can smell it. You'll recognize it. It's very familiar sort of baking spice. And then you can either season it with salt and pepper or a little bit of soy as well. This will add that little bit of seasoning, that's salt. I don't need too much. And some nice color.
Really smell the ginger, which is nice and refreshing.
Yeah, a lot of those refreshing flavors, especially because we're cooking this for a longer amount of time. Chicken thighs, like Daniela mentioned, they're typically a more economical option, especially if they are bone in and skin on. These did come bone in because they were cheaper. They tend to be cheaper. The more prep that's done, so if you buy them boneless, skinless, they're going to be more expensive for the same product, right? But if you're not super comfortable deboning a chicken thigh, which can require a little bit of skill, you can absolutely cook this with the bone in. And I actually gave both instructions there. It takes just a little bit longer, but you'll even get even more flavor because you're cooking it with the bone in. So it's a more economical protein. What's going to taste even better, but it might take a little bit longer to cook, right?
And if you were to take the bones out, you would save those bones to make a broth or a stock.
Absolutely.
So that's the other benefit of
For
that
sure.
too.
So do what works best for you. If you don't have time to cook it with the bone in or remove the bones, just buy boneless. But if you want to save a few extra bucks, then definitely go for the bone in option. Adding the juice of an orange. I put it, I think, about like half a cup-ish. Again, we're making like a sauce glaze. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect. All right. Juice of about half an orange. And stir that through. And that is it. So I have, sesames.
Ah,
The best part.
orange sesame chicken.
About a quarter cup or so. And we'll stir that through. So we have this freshness. There's another ingredient on there. Some vinegar. You can add a little bit of vinegar, or I actually used the vinegar this morning and I ran out. I'm going to add some lime. Anything to add a little bit of acidity to this. Again, the orange is going to add some brightness. Doesn't really offer a ton of acidity. It's a little bit of acidity. You want something a little bit stronger. So either a little bit of vinegar, a little splash, a little bit of lime juice.
But I do like also, like the other benefit of the orange juice and the lime is the vitamin C. And if you've been following Jeremy and I, we like to talk about our food power couples. So when you're using a plant-based protein, like the black beans, it has iron in it, but it's not absorbed as easily by the body. So pairing it with some vitamin C or a food that has vitamin C helps you absorb almost double the iron from that plant food. So it's one of our favorite power couples. Food power couples. We won't talk about the other.
What's your favorite non-food power couple?
I know.
It's changed so much these days. All right. I'm going to bake it in this pan, cast iron pan. Again, whatever's easiest. Rectangular baking dish, casserole dish, that will work as well. Same trick. I'm not doing all these dishes after. So, parchment.
And dollar store buys, again.
Yeah, they have this one at the dollar store. There's a few different ones they have. This is my favorite one.
So also knowing where you can save a few more dollars.
Absolutely. All right, so parchment, the trick under the water, scrunch it up, and then we're going to start off with the black beans. Again, a great way. I love the addition of plant-based protein. If you eat both proteins, the combination of the two is just a great way to stretch it out a bit.
Or if you're not that familiar with plant proteins, it's a way to ease into a plant-forward way of eating too, if you have that mix.
Absolutely. That pan was drained and rinsed, by the way. I just didn't advance. To drain and rinse your canned beans. If you want to add some of the aromatics, you can put chopped peppers in here, whatever you like. I have a little bit of onion.
Was there a question? Did you know? Okay. Just a sounds from the audience.
All right, chicken thighs. So we have the black beans, the base there. Then I'm going to go with these chicken thighs right on top. Again, you can do this with, if you're not a fan of the thigh part, you can definitely do this with chicken breast. You can do this with fish. You're just going to adjust the cooking time. With chicken, it's always best to use a thermometer. Make sure that in the thickest part, you're hitting that 165 degrees internal temperature. So you will have to adjust. The thighs will take a little bit longer than the breast, which will take a little bit longer than something like salmon or fish or something like that. Okay, so chicken on top, and then we're going to take...
Are you saying we could do this with salmon too?
Yeah,
That would
absolutely.
be nice too. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. And something a little bit different. I just love the use of chicken thighs because it is a fairly economical animal-based protein.
Oh, there
May
is
I
a
ask
question.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
It's regarding the soya sauce.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Is it okay for, considering that, I heard that it's not good for estrogen.
Oh, for estrogen. Okay, so the question is the use of soya sauce and estrogen positive cancer, breast cancer. So, first of all, soya sauce is probably not a factor to the. Okay, let's start at the beginning. So, so the phytoestrogen, the plant form of estrogen that is found in soy, does not.
1 second.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you continue.
Okay.
So pour the glaze on top and then into the oven. Okay? 400 degrees for about 25 minutes for boneless. And you're going to go to about 35 to 40 for bone in. Again, just with chicken, just make sure you have that food thermometer to make sure that you have the right doneness. Okay? So in the oven, back to you.
Okay. Back to me. So we were talking about soy and estrogen. So the plant form of estrogen that is found in tofu or soybeans, edamame, not so much in the soy sauce because that's a bit more processed. It doesn't act the same way as estrogen, the hormone estrogen. And this was researched quite a bit. And what they actually found is that having some soy in the diet, is going to help reduce cancer risk, and so it is safe to have. What you may want to be more careful with is supplements, concentrated forms of soy, but having it as a food is okay. I thought you were going to ask about soy sauce and salt and sodium and that. Soy sauce is really just a lot less of the phytoestrogen in there. And what I thought you were going to ask us about salt, so you can find lower salt options, reduced salt. It all depends on where you use salt in the dish. But getting back to the estrogen, does that answer your question? Okay. Long-winded way of answering the question.
It's okay that we use it.
It's okay, yeah. Basically, the bottom line, it's okay to have it in the diet. As long as you're not allergic to it, it's okay.
I do that, but
Soy sauce, yeah.
Because it's processed.
Yeah, but it doesn't have, it's okay. It's okay, it doesn't have a lot.
Yeah. And for us,
And it's not a worry.
it's replacing the sodium, right? So that's one thing if you're concerned about. It obviously has sodium in it, but just like salt is sodium, right? So you can just adjust as you need to. So bake that chicken until it's done. I'm just cutting up a little bit of green onion very coarsely. Chickens are finished.
The chickens?
The chicken thighs are finished.
Oh, it looks so pretty.
Yeah, so you can see you're going to get that little bit of that caramelization on top because of that honey and that sort of slow cooking there. And I don't know if you can smell the
Can
sesame.
you smell it?
That's the first
Not
thing
yet.
you smell.
Yeah.
Is the
It's
sesame.
very pretty, isn't it? Yeah, it's hot.
It's hot, yeah. Just grab a spoon.
Can I also ask a question?
Yes.
Yeah, in our Chinese culture, I think it is not right, but I need to double check. They always say, oh, we had for the cancer patients, we cannot eat seafood or chicken, this kind of thing. It is a myth, right?
You can't eat.
For any type of cancer patients, they cannot eat the seafood anymore. It's not true, right?
So when it comes to it's the question is if you have cancer, you can't eat seafood anymore. Seafood is fine. Where they may tell you to be careful is with shellfish and with sushi if your immune system is weak. So if your immune system is weak from the treatment you received, they may want you to avoid things like raw fish and shellfish. But other than that, from a cancer risk reduction perspective, it's still a good protein to have in the diet.
So that's it. The cooked seafood, including shellfish, is totally safe.
Cooked seafood, including shellfish, is totally safe. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Fantastic. Sorry, getting the
It's
question.
Okay.
And it's just a bunch of claps. Okay.
Oh, a bunch of claps.
We're good.
Okay. That's great.
We love that you're watching. Yeah, we're doing it too. We're doing it too. So here is the finished product with the chicken thighs, which have, again, and you can sort of glaze if you want. You can like pour some of that extra sauce halfway through over the top, and you're gonna get that really nice sort of crispy top, but also because of the honey, the little bit of honey, you're gonna get that little bit of caramelization. With the beans on the bottom, I think I like, and you could serve this with some extra grains and some rice and as a side, but because you have the beans, it almost acts as a nice little starch accompaniment as well.
We didn't talk about it in recipe 1. Can you freeze this after making it, and also the mac and cheese? Can you freeze that?
Yes, you can freeze both. Absolutely, I love freezing into portions, and that way it's easier to warm up afterwards. But absolutely, and I think that's one nice tip as well. Even if you're cooking for 1 or cooking for 2, and you don't need like a serving that cooks 6 or 8, if you're putting that effort in anyways, it's not that much extra to just double up the portion. So make the larger batch and then freeze it after. And then that way you have those portions left for those days where you just don't have the energy or the time to make something from scratch. And you can warming up something like this, or that mac and cheese after would be a nice little treat, right?
Yeah. It'd be a nice little snack.
Okay.